I am so freaking upset right now. I'm so mad I can barely think straight. Want to see what's got me so riled? Let's go look. Delta Service and Support Animal Policy, effective March 1, enhancements added. Posted yesterday, February 22, 2018. In January, Delta announced policy changes for those traveling with service and support animals to support the airline's top priority of safety. After an 84% increase in reported service and support animal incidents since 2016. Based on conversations with key stakeholders in the disability community, the airline is further enhancing its policy effective March 1. We are implementing these changes for the safety of all customers, employees, and trained service and support animals flying Delta, while supporting the rights of customers with legitimate needs, such as veterans with disabilities, who also have psychiatric service animals, by the way. PTSD is a psychiatric condition. Said John Laughter, Delta's Senior Vice President, Corporate Safety, Security, and Compliance. While we will require that all animals not confined to kennels in the cabin have up-to-date vaccinations, we enhanced our policy to make online submission optional for those individuals who are blind or have reduced vision or other disabilities and have trained service animals. In developing the updated requirements, Delta solicited the feedback and input of its 15-member Advisory Board on Disability, a group of advocates established more than a decade ago and made up of Delta frequent flyers with a range of disabilities. It's not what I'm hearing. Following the announcement, Delta and its Advisory Board on Disability continued conversations with a diverse mix of advocacy groups that represent people who rely on trained service animals, such as the National Federation of the Blind. We are pleased that Delta has responded in a timely way to the concerns we raised about their policy for guide dogs and only guide dogs and other service animals, which they didn't address, including making enhancements, said Mark Riccobono, president of the National Federation of the Blind. We also note Delta's expressed commitment to listening to its passengers. No, it doesn't. In light of that commitment, we look forward to sharing our expertise with Delta so that it can provide equal service to blind passengers in all of its operations. Well, great for the blind passengers. Now what about us? A closer look at service and support animal policies. Since Delta's announcement, other airlines have implemented changes, and media outlets continue to highlight the lack of regulation and the increased availability of fraudulent certification. Well, then don't take the fraudulent documents, dingbats. I'm not going to read these. You can read them if you want. Outside of the aviation industry, a dramatic increase in fraudulent service animals has led 18 states to introduce laws that make it a crime to fraudulently represent a service animal. Delta's updated policy effective March 1. Any customer traveling with the service or support animal on or after March 1 will need to meet the new requirements as outlined below. Traveling with a trained service animal, which my service dog is a trained service animal. In some cases, customers with a trained service animal may be asked to show the animal's veterinary health form and or an immunization record or other proof that the animal's vaccinations are up to date. Customers are encouraged, but not required, to submit this form to Delta's Service Animal Support Desk via delta.com before traveling. These customers can check in via delta.com, the Fly Delta mobile app, airport kiosks, or with an airport agent. Traveling with an emotional support animal or psychiatric service animal, which my service dog is. He is a psychiatric service animal that is trained properly. Customers traveling with an emotional support animal or psychiatric service animal will be required to submit a signed veterinary health form and or an immunization record current within 1 year of the travel date, an emotional support psychiatric service animal request form that requires a letter prepared and signed by a doctor or a licensed mental health professional. We already had to do that. I bent to that already. And a signed confirmation of animal training form. From who? These forms are required and must be submitted to Delta's Service Animal Support Desk via delta.com at least 48 hours before travel. These customers must use the full service check-in process with an airport agent. How's that to discriminate? Delta established the Service Animal Support Desk to improve the travel experience for customers traveling with service and support animals. This desk will verify that the above documentation is received and confirm the customer's reservation to travel with an emotional support or psychiatric service animal before arrival at the airport. If a form is not completed, a representative will communicate with the customer via email to request the missing or incomplete items. Delta carries more than 250,000 service and support animals annually, an increase of nearly 150% since 2015. The airline does not accept exotic or unusual service or support animals. Additional information on types of accepted animals and other questions related to traveling with service and support animals is available here, and there's a link. This is California Civil Code 54.1, the laws that deal with service dogs and service dogs in training in California. You might have similar laws for your state. 54.1A1. Individuals with disabilities shall be entitled to full and equal access as other members of the general public to accommodations, advantages, facilities, medical facilities, including hospitals, clinics, and physicians' offices, and privileges of all common carriers, airplanes, motor vehicles, railroad trains, motor buses, streetcars, boats, or any other public conveyance or mode of transportation, whether private, public, franchised, licensed, contracted, or otherwise provided. Full and equal access, number 3. Full and equal access for purposes of this section in its application to transportation means access that meets the standards of Titles 2 and 3 of the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 and federal regulations adopted pursuant thereto, except that if the laws of this state prescribe higher standards, it shall mean access that meets those higher standards. Okay. Here is the Penal Code of California 365.5, also dealing with service dogs and service dogs in training. Any blind person, deaf person, or disabled person who is a passenger on any common carrier, airplane, motor vehicle, railway train, motor bus, streetcar, boat, or any other public conveyance or mode of transportation operating within this state shall be entitled to have with him or her a specially trained guide dog, signal dog, or service dog. And let's go farther down. Any person, firm, association, or corporation, or the agent of any person, firm, association, or corporation who prevents a disabled person from exercising or interferes with a disabled person in the exercise of the rights specified in this section is guilty of a misdemeanor, punishable by a fine not exceeding $2,500. Down. Oh, I can't. 2, way down low here. This section is intended to provide equal accessibility for all owners or trainers of animals that are trained as guide dogs, signal dogs, or service dogs in a manner that is no less than that provided by the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 and the Air Carrier Access Act of 1986. No less than what those laws specify. Requiring extra stuff that the law doesn't ask for is in a manner that is less than the Air Carrier Access Act. The exercise of rights specified in subdivisions A and B by any person may not be conditioned upon payment of any extra charge, provided that the person shall be liable for any provable damage done to the premises or facilities by his or her dog. And it's the same for trainer. Effective tomorrow, I'm going to file complaints with my state agencies because now these policies are interfering with state law. I would highly suggest, if you have a properly trained psychiatric service animal, that you look at the laws in your state, and if they provide protection, and if you're not sure, ask me. File complaints as well. This is the time that we need to stand up and throw a hissy fit. This is the time. I'm going to put a link to the complaint form for the ACAA. I'm going to put that in the description box down there. And we need to fight. We need to be very vocal, and we need to fight at this point. We need to do everything we can. So file complaints with your state agencies if you have them, and if your state law provides protection against this. File complaints. I am not going to take this sitting down. I am so mad I can't hardly think straight. I'm not going to have this. I bent to the doctor letter 48 hours in advance. I bent to that requirement, you know, in cooperation to try to stop fakers and people that would game the system. I did that. I took that burden on without too much complaint in an effort to help, you know, the laws prevent those kinds of people. I've got my limit. Now they're going too far. Now they are going too far. I got to go pay money to go get health certificates for my dogs. Oh, and here's the way that'll go. I go and get health certificates for my dog. I go to fly. I sign off on the training because, after all, I am the trainer. And they're going to deny me based on the fact that they don't happen to like that I'm the trainer. That, yeah, no. We're not doing this. We are not doing this. Oh, no. Get busy, people, tomorrow if possible. Go to the link I'm going to leave in the description and file a discrimination complaint with the ACAA people. Department of Transportation. They oversee the ACAA. Go file a complaint with them. We need to make a major ruckus. Tell your friends that you know. Let's do this. I've had it. I'm sure you guys have had it too. We work twice as hard just to be equal. And about the time we're getting to be equal, they turn around and stigmatize us and push us down again. I've had it. You know, if you don't have a psychiatric service animal, but you feel for what we're going through, you go file a complaint and file a complaint with your state. You know, do it. Do it now. So here's my complaint pertaining to the Delta Airlines situation with my state agency. And there's one other one I'm also going to make a complaint with, but that has to wait till business hours. What you're looking at here is a post from IAADP, International Association of Assistance Dog Partners. One of the people in the talks with the Department of Transportation about the new rules. You're going to find this really interesting, especially when I point out to you exactly what it means. But I'm going to go ahead and just read it for you. Today, February 22, 2018, in response to the letter IAADP submitted to Delta, Tony Ann Eames, co-founder and president of IAADP, had a teleconference interview with several Delta personnel and shared talking points. I appreciated Delta Airlines listening to IAADP and hope they take these suggestions to heart. She learned that Delta Airlines modified their policy, and the U.S. Department of Transportation will be reviewing the ACAA, Air Carrier Access Act, to possibly eliminate the word animals and just refer to dogs. Delta will be taking a softer approach about their new rules and no longer requiring the 48 hours notification and the veterinary forms from those partnered with trained service dogs. Keep that in mind. Trained service dogs. Jill Exposito, U.S. Vice President of IAADP, says, this is exactly how it should be. Those of us flying with trained, socialized, and healthy assistance dogs should not have additional burdens put on I think she meant us, to fly with our canine partners. We depend so much on them and all the good work they do to help us be independent. And then they give the link to the official guidance, so they know exactly what it is. It wasn't like they did this and then Delta did something different. They're fully aware. They put the link, so they've read it. Now, I want you to note trained assistance dogs. If you look in the guidance or in the policy for Delta, they have two sections: trained assistance dogs and emotional support animals and psychiatric service dogs. So all of this does not pertain to psychiatric service dogs. They use the exact term. It's for trained assistance dogs, as referred to in their policy, which is non-psychiatric service dogs. So basically, what they are saying, what they are doing, is that they said these things for non-psychiatric service dogs. They said them, but they really don't intend to leverage them or use them with non-psychiatric service dogs. Basically, we said it, but we're not actually going to do it. Why did they say it? To make it look less discriminatory against psychiatric service dogs. That's the only reason. They put it out there to make it look less discriminatory, but this tells us behind the scenes, they have no intention of leveraging this against, service dogs they recognize as service dogs, which, for all I know, is dogs that are with somebody with a visible disability, and those with invisible disabilities will still get nailed. Or if somebody says, oh, well, I've got diabetes, and the dog alerts, then they'll not leverage this against them. But it's clearly not intended to mean psychiatric service dogs. So they are, in fact, knowingly discriminating. They're telling IAADP on the side, hey, we wrote it, but we're not actually going to leverage it. Lovely, huh?